Imagine a moment when the very core of American politics shakes with a force so relentless that in the first 10 seconds you are pulled into a whirlwind of secrets, scandals, and explosive confrontations. A moment that makes you stop, drop a comment telling me exactly where in the world you are watching from, and prepares you for an epic saga that spans years, defies conventional discourse, and captures the rivalry between two titanic figures, Donald Trump and Nancy Pelosi. This script is not merely a recounting of events, but a narrative woven from the very fabric of modern American history. A story of ambition, defiance, and ideological warfare that has come to define a generation. The story begins in the seismic aftermath of the 2016 election. In an unprecedented twist of fate, an outsider named Donald Trump shattered long-held political conventions by ascending to the presidency on an America First platform. His brash style, unfiltered rhetoric, and promises to upend the status quo resonated deeply with millions of voters who felt ignored by the political establishment. At the same time, the established order, personified by figures like Nancy Pelosi, the seasoned, resolute Speaker of the House, found itself forced into an unexpected confrontation. Pelosi, who had spent decades mastering the intricacies of Washington's political labyrinth, suddenly emerged as the stalwart guardian of institutional norms and democratic accountability. Their first encounters were marked by cautious dialogue and polite exchanges, but beneath the surface, the seeds of an epic rivalry were being sown. In those early days, there was a tentative hope for bipartisan cooperation. However, as Trump's unconventional methods began to upend traditional processes, Pelosi's commitment to constitutional governance became ever more apparent. The clash of ideologies was inevitable. Trump's promise to drain the swamp and challenge the established order was met with Pelosi's unyielding determination to uphold the integrity of democratic institutions. This ideological rift quickly transformed into a personal battle, a high-stakes contest for the very soul of the nation. One of the first major battlegrounds was the issue of border security. Trump's relentless insistence on building a border wall along the U.S.-Mexico frontier and his demand for $5.7 billion in funding to do so set off a fierce debate in Congress. Pelosi and her colleagues decried the wall as an expensive, divisive, and counterproductive measure. The ensuing standoff escalated into the longest government shutdown in U.S. history, lasting 35 agonizing days. During those dark weeks, millions of federal workers faced furloughs and uncertainty while the nation's institutions struggled to function amid the chaos. Pelosi's negotiation tactics and refusal to yield under pressure underscored the depth of her commitment to fiscal responsibility and democratic principles. This early clash not only exposed the raw tensions between the two leaders, but also signaled that the ensuing rivalry would be as much about values. As the political calendar turned to 2019, a new storm emerged that would forever alter the landscape of American governance. A controversial phone call between President Trump and Ukraine's leader sparked allegations of abuse of power, a move that many saw as a deliberate attempt to leverage U.S. foreign policy for personal gain. In response, Pelosi took a historic step by launching impeachment proceedings against Trump. With a solemn declaration that no one in America is above the law, she steered the House of Representatives into a confrontation that was both unprecedented and fraught with political peril. The impeachment process, with its long hours of testimony, heated debates on the House floor, and a barrage of media coverage polarized the nation even further. Trump's supporters decried the move as a partisan witch hunt, while his critics applauded Pelosi's courage in holding the executive accountable. Although the Senate ultimately acquitted Trump, the proceedings left deep scars on the political fabric of the nation and cemented Pelosi's role as an uncompromising defender of constitutional norms. The drama reached new heights in 2020. That year, the annual State of the Union address became yet another stage for the Trump-Pelosi clash. As President Trump delivered his address with trademark bravado, Pelosi made a dramatic gesture that would become etched in the collective memory of the country. On live television, she tore up her copy of the president's speech. This act of symbolic defiance was interpreted by some as a necessary rebuke to an administration that had lost touch with democratic values, while others saw it as an overt sign of partisan animosity. Regardless of one's viewpoint, that moment perfectly encapsulated the deep-seated divisions that had come to define modern American politics, a clash where every word, every gesture, and every public appearance was loaded with significance and where the personal became inextricably linked with the political. Meanwhile, as the nation grappled with these high-profile confrontations, a crisis of epic proportions was quietly unfolding. In early 2020, the COVID-19 pandemic struck, forcing the country to confront an unprecedented public health emergency. The crisis would soon reveal yet another layer of the Trump-Pelosi rivalry. President Trump, known for his assertive approach, repeatedly downplayed the virus, championing rapid reopening and emphasizing economic recovery. Pelosi, on the other hand, called for science-based measures, robust support for healthcare systems, and comprehensive relief for those affected by the pandemic. Their public exchanges during this time were charged with urgency and anger as the stakes grew ever higher. As families suffered, hospitals became overwhelmed, and the nation's faith in its leaders was severely tested, the contrasting approaches of Trump and Pelosi came to symbolize a broader debate about the role of government in protecting its citizens during times of crisis. As the pandemic raged on, the political spotlight turned once again to the upcoming 2020 presidential election, a contest that would have implications far beyond the usual partisan squabbles. Pelosi, with her extensive experience and unyielding commitment to democratic processes, played a central role in ensuring that the electoral system remained robust and transparent. However, President Trump and his supporters launched a series of unsubstantiated claims, alleging widespread voter fraud and casting doubt on the legitimacy of the election. These allegations fueled a firestorm of controversy and set the stage for one of the most dramatic episodes. Then came January 6, 2021, a day that would forever be seared into the history of American democracy. As Congress convened to certify the election results, a violent mob of Trump supporters stormed the Capitol. The scenes of chaos and violence that unfolded were unlike anything the nation had ever seen. Lawmakers were forced to flee for their lives, security was overwhelmed, and the very symbol of American governance was desecrated. In the midst of this unprecedented assault, Pelosi emerged as a beacon of resilience, working tirelessly behind the scenes to restore order and reaffirm the rule of law. The shock of that day rippled through every corner of the nation and sparked not only a second impeachment of Trump, but also a profound re-examination of the fragility of democratic institutions. Even as the immediate crisis of January 6th subsided, the long shadow of that day continued to loom large over American politics. Every subsequent public appearance by either Trump or Pelosi was dissected in minute detail by an electorate that was desperate for answers and eager to assign blame. In the wake of the Capitol riot, Trump's defiant rhetoric only grew louder, with his supporters rallying behind his claims of a stolen election, while Pelosi and her allies remained steadfast in their commitment to accountability and the protection of democratic values. The nation had become a battleground, a place where the ideological war between populism and institutionalism was fought not only in the corridors of power, but also in the hearts and minds of millions of citizens. In the ensuing months, as the political dust settled and the nation began its slow journey toward recovery, the narrative of the Trump-Pelosi rivalry evolved into something far greater than a mere personal feud. It became emblematic of the broader ideological divides that have come to define modern American society, a society where the struggle for power is interwoven with questions of identity, justice, and the future direction of the nation. Trump, with his relentless rallies, incendiary social media posts, and unyielding defiance in the face of legal challenges, continued to cast himself as the champion of a disenfranchised populace. His message, delivered with characteristic fervor, was one of radical change, a promise to upend an entrenched system that many believed had abandoned the common citizen. For his supporters, this was a call to arms, a rallying cry against the perceived corruption and elitism of Washington, D.C., and a testament to the enduring power of populism in an era marked by rapid social and technological change. In stark contrast, Pelosi's enduring presence in the political arena represented a steadfast commitment to the time-honored principles of democracy. Her decades of service in Congress, her mastery of legislative intricacies, and her unwavering dedication to the rule of law made her a symbol of institutional stability. A living reminder that the values enshrined in the Constitution are not mere relics of the past, but the very foundation upon which the future. As the country grappled with the aftermath of unprecedented events, from the chaos of January 6th to the relentless challenges of a global pandemic, Pelosi's leadership was seen by many as a bulwark against the tides of extremism and disorder. Every decision she made, every public statement she issued, resonated with the weight of experience and the promise of accountability, providing a counterpoint to Trump's style of unfiltered, often chaotic, populist rhetoric. The media, too, played an integral role in shaping the public's perception of this rivalry. In a world dominated by 24-hour news cycles and the constant churn of social media, every tweet, every soundbite, and every viral video clip served to amplify the conflict, turning personal disagreements into national spectacles. Cable news networks, opinion columns, and online forums buzzed with debates about the legitimacy of impeachment proceedings, the symbolism of televised moments of defiance, and the broader implications of a divided government. In this digital battlefield, the Trump-Pelosi saga was not merely reported, it was dissected, analyzed, and transformed into a cultural touchstone that captured the imagination of a nation searching for meaning in tumultuous times. As the 2024 elections approached, the stakes grew ever higher. The political landscape, already fractured by years of relentless confrontation, teetered on the brink of transformation. For Trump's supporters, the upcoming election represented a chance to vindicate their champion, to reaffirm their belief in his vision of radical change, and to challenge what they saw as an entrenched elite determined to preserve an outdated status quo. For Pelosi's advocates, the elections were a call to defend the institutions that had long safeguarded American democracy, to push back against forces that threatened to undermine the rule of law, and to ensure that the hard-fought gains of the past were not erased by a tide of populist fervor. In this charged atmosphere, every rally, every debate, and every policy proposal was imbued with the potential to reshape the nation's destiny. In retrospect, the saga of Donald Trump versus Nancy Pelosi is more than a chronicle of political battles and public spectacles. It is a reflection of the profound tensions that lie at the heart of modern American society. It is a story of two radically different visions for the future. One that embraces disruption, challenges conventional wisdom, and promises to upend a system perceived as rigged against the common man. And another that champions stability, upholds the enduring principles of democratic governance, and believes that the path to progress lies in building upon the foundations of the past. These competing ideologies have not only defined the careers of Trump and Pelosi, but have also ignited debates in every corner of the country. From the quiet suburbs to the bustling urban centers, forcing citizens to confront difficult questions about the nature of power, the responsibilities of leadership, and the kind of future they will. Even as history continues to unfold, the legacy of this rivalry remains a subject of intense debate. For some, Trump's defiance represents a bold challenge to a stagnant system, a necessary disruption in an era that demands radical change. For others, Pelosi's steadfast adherence to tradition and her unwavering commitment to accountability are the hallmarks of true leadership in a democracy. And yet, perhaps the most enduring aspect of this saga is the way in which it has mobilized millions of people, ignited passionate discussions in living rooms and on social media, and transformed abstract political debates into a deeply personal struggle for the identity and future of the nation. As we move forward into an uncertain yet hopeful future, the lessons of the Trump versus Pelosi saga continue to resonate. They remind us that democracy is not a static relic, but a dynamic, evolving process. A process that requires constant vigilance, active engagement, and the courage to challenge even the most entrenched powers when they stray from the principles of justice and accountability. They remind us that the pursuit of truth and the defense of democratic values are battles that must be fought every day, in every community, and by every citizen willing to stand up for what is right, And they remind us that ultimately, the future of our nation depends not solely on the actions of a few powerful individuals, but on the collective will of a people determined to shape a society that reflects their highest ideals. Now, as you absorb this expansive narrative, a story that spans impeachment trials, symbolic acts of defiance, chaotic episodes of unrest, and the relentless pulse of political theater, I invite you to join the conversation. Share your thoughts, ask your questions, and let me know exactly where in the world you are watching from, because your voice is an essential part of this ongoing dialogue. If you found this deep dive into the monumental saga of Donald Trump versus Nancy Pelosi as illuminating, provocative, and transformative as I did, please take a moment to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel for more elite stories that peel back the layers of our complex world, and share this video with everyone you know. Together, through our collective engagement and unwavering commitment to the truth, we can help forge a future defined by unity, resilience, and an enduring belief in the democratic ideals that have long been the cornerstone of our